Did you know that a simple dime from your pocket change could be worth over $1 million today? That's right. The 1986 Roosevelt dime is one of the most talked-about coins in the numismatic world, with reports of a value reaching as high as $1.4 million. In today's video, we'll uncover the story behind this dime, why collectors are willing to pay so much for it, and how you can find out if you might be sitting on a fortune in your coin jar at home. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his death. For decades, it's been one of the most common coins in circulation, but not all dimes are created equal. In 1986, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes, each marked with a small D mint mark on the front, just above the date. Most of these dimes are worth just 10 cents. But here's where the story gets interesting. A tiny number of these coins were struck with unique errors or special qualities, and those are the ones that can be worth life-changing money. The answer lies in rarity and condition. Some 1986 D dimes were struck with unusual die errors, meaning something went wrong in the minting process. These could include things like off-center strikes, missing mint marks, double dies, or incredibly sharp proof-like finishes that weren't meant for circulation. On top of that, condition matters. A coin that has been preserved in mint state, never scratched, never circulated, can skyrocket in value. Professional coin grading services like PCGS or NGC have given some of these coins the highest possible grades, which makes collectors compete fiercely to own them. That competition is what pushed one of these rare 1986 D Roosevelt dimes to a staggering $1.4 million price tag. Here are the steps. Check the date and mint mark. You're looking for 1986 with a small D under the year. Examine the condition. The fewer scratches, the sharper the details, the better. A dime in brilliant, uncirculated condition has much more potential. Look for errors. Use a magnifying glass to spot doubling in the lettering, off-center strikes, or anything unusual. Get it graded. If you think your coin looks special, submit it to PCGS or NGC for professional certification. This is how collectors verify rarity and value. While only a handful of these million-dollar dimes exist, even regular 1986 D Roosevelt dimes in high grade can be worth far more than face value. For example, a coin in mint state 67 or higher can sell for hundreds, even thousands of dollars at auction. But when you add in a major error or a flawless condition, that's when the value skyrockets. The coin that reached $1.4 million is believed to be a one-of-a-kind piece, combining both rarity and pristine preservation. If you have a 1986 D dime or any old coin, don't rush to spend it. First, do your research. Next, consult a reputable dealer or have your coin graded. Avoid selling to the first buyer who makes an offer. Rare coins often sell for much more at auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. And remember, not every 1986 D dime is worth a fortune. We're talking about one of the most talked-about coins in U.S. history, the 1982 P Roosevelt dime. Some reports claim one of these dimes is worth up to $1.6 million. But is it true? How can you tell if you have one? And what should you do if you find one in your collection? Stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll know the history, the facts, and the real market value of this rare dime. Let's start with a little history. The Roosevelt dime was first issued in 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt shortly after his passing. For decades, it's been one of the most common coins in circulation, used every single day for small purchases. But coin collectors know, sometimes the most ordinary coins hide extraordinary secrets. By 1982, something unusual happened. The U.S. Mint in Philadelphia made dimes without mint marks, something that had not been seen in modern times. And that's where our story really begins. In 1982, the Philadelphia Mint accidentally struck thousands of Roosevelt dimes without the P mint mark. Normally, coins from Philadelphia had a small letter P above the date. But due to a die error, some were missing it. Collectors quickly realized how rare these coins were. They began pulling them out of circulation, holding on to them, and driving up their value in the numismatic world. Now, most of these missing P dimes are worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their condition. But some reports, especially in recent years, have claimed that an extremely rare version of the 1982 P Roosevelt dime could be worth as much as $1.6 million. That's right, one tiny dime smaller than your thumbnail could buy you a luxury home. But here's where we need to separate rumor from reality. It's true. The 1982 P no mint mark dime is rare and collectible. High-grade examples, especially ones certified by top-grading companies like PCGS or NGC, can fetch $5,000 to $15,000 at auction. So where does the $1.6 million claim come from? Some online sources and sensational headlines exaggerated the coin's value to attract attention. While no public auction has ever proven a $1.6 million sale, the hype does highlight how much excitement surrounds this particular coin. Think of it this way. If you have a 1982 dime without a P mint mark and it's in pristine condition, you could have something truly valuable even if it doesn't quite hit the $1 million mark. Here's the most important part. How can you tell if you've got one of these dimes sitting in a jar at home? 1982. Check just above the date. Normally, you'll see a tiny letter P. If there's no letter at all, that's when you might have struck gold. Or should I say silver? Now, condition is everything. A coin that's been in circulation might be worth $50 to $200, while a mint condition example, never used, can reach thousands of dollars. If you think you found one, don't rush to sell it right away. First, get it graded by a professional coin grading service. This step could make the difference between selling it for a few $100s or for several thousand. So, let's say you do have a 1982 no mint mark dime. What next? Step 1. Don't clean it. Cleaning a coin actually destroys value. Step 2. Store it safely in a coin holder or protective sleeve. Step 3. Contact a professional dealer or submit it to PCGS or NGC for grading. And finally, compare recent auction prices. Even if your dime doesn't reach $1.6 million, it could still bring in life-changing money. So is the 1982 P Roosevelt dime really worth $1.6 million? Realistically, probably not. But it is one of the most valuable modern dimes ever discovered, and collectors will pay serious money for the right coin. Always check your change. That little dime hiding in your coin jar might be worth more than you think. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn about other coins worth a fortune, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Your next treasure might just be sitting in your pocket. We're talking about the 1981 D Roosevelt dime, one of the most mysterious and potentially valuable coins in U.S. history. If you're between 30 and 70 years old and have been holding on to old coins, maybe from your parents, grandparents, or even tucked away in your own drawer, this is the video you don't want to miss. The Roosevelt dime was first issued in 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. By 1981, millions of these dimes were minted, especially in Denver, which is why you'll see the small D mint mark on the coin, just above the date. Now here's the catch. Most 1981 D dimes are only worth their face value, just 10 cents. There are millions in circulation, but a very tiny handful, and I mean tiny handful, have unique errors or special conditions that drive their price through the roof. The most famous example? A 1981 D. Roosevelt dime graded in pristine condition with a dramatic error sold for an unbelievable $1.4 million. That's not a typo. 10 cents turned into $1.4 million. So what makes this particular dime so valuable? Three main factors. Some dimes struck at the Denver Mint in 1981 had mistakes, doubled dies, off-center strikes, or missing elements. Error coins are highly collectible. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A dime in average circulated condition is worth a dime. But in mint state, especially MS-67 or higher, collectors will pay tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands. The coin that hit $1.4 million wasn't just rare. It was a once-in-a-lifetime piece that collectors were willing to fight for. 10 cents, a well-preserved mint-state dime, maybe $50 to $500, a rare, error-filled, perfectly graded dime. That's where we see prices soar into the millions. Now, you might be wondering, do I have one of these rare dimes sitting in my change jar? Look at the date and mint mark. It must be 1981 with a small D under the date. Check the condition. If it's heavily worn, it likely isn't worth much more than 10 cents. Look for errors. Use a magnifying glass. Look for doubled letters, missing details, or off-center. Designs, get it graded. If you think you have something special, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade can make the difference between a dime and a life-changing payday. Now let's be real. The odds of finding a $1.4 million dime are extremely small. Most 1981 D. Roosevelt dimes will only be worth face value. But, and this is important, many coin collectors have found hidden treasures in their change or in old family collections. Even if you don't strike it rich, you might have coins worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Go grab that old jar of coins. Pull out your 1981 dimes. Look for that little D mint mark. That small piece of change could be your ticket to a huge payday. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn about more rare coins that could be worth a fortune, hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss future videos. Remember, it only takes one coin to change your life. Imagine finding a dime in your change, just 10 cents. But what if I told you that a certain 1978 Roosevelt dime with a Denver mint mark, the little D under the date, has been valued as high as $1.7 million in today's collector market? Yes, you heard me right. A dime that could pay off your house, your car, and probably set up your retirement. Today, we're going to dive deep into the 1978 D. Roosevelt dime, why it's so valuable, and what you should check for in your old coins before selling them. First, let's start with a little background. The Roosevelt dime was first minted in 1946, right after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, to honor his leadership and his connection to the March of Dimes campaign against polio. By 1978, dimes were made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, no silver. But here's the catch. Most of these 1978 dimes are only worth their face value of 10 cents. Unless they have a rare error, a special strike, or a unique collector's demand. And that's where our star coin comes in, the 1978 D. Roosevelt dime with a mint error that has collectors going absolutely crazy. So, why would one of these coins be worth over $1 million? It comes down to rare minting errors and condition. In 1978, some Denver minted dimes were struck on the wrong planche, meaning they were accidentally made using the metal blank intended for another coin. These off-metal strikes are extremely rare. Collectors look closely at the torch on the back of the dime. If the horizontal bands are fully defined and unbroken, known as full bands or full torch, the coin's value skyrockets. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale. A normal circulated dime might grade around 1030, but a mint state 68 or higher with full bands, that's museum-level quality. And one of these has sold at auction for $1.7 million, so, yes, a little 10-cent piece can become a life-changing discovery. Now, here's what you need to do if you've got jars of coins at home. Look at the date and mint mark. You need a 1978 dime with a D under the date. Check the torch bands. Flip the coin over and look at the torch. Are the bands sharp and complete? Examine the metal. Does the coin look unusual? Maybe thicker, off-color, or struck slightly off-center? These could be rare mint errors. Condition matters. Coins with scratches, dents, or heavy wear are usually worth less. But pristine coins, even from pocket change, could be very valuable. Get it graded. If you think you have something special, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. That's how you'll unlock its real market value. Still worth just 10 cents. In uncirculated mint state condition, maybe $10 to $50 with full bands in a top grade? You could be looking at thousands of dollars. And that one record-breaking example, $1.7 million, shows just how high collectors will go for perfection. If you're ready to sell, consider these options. Heritage. Auctions or Stack's Bowers are the big names. Always check reviews and credentials. eBay and other sites can work, but be cautious about scams. The right buyer will pay a fortune, but the wrong buyer might offer you pennies. So there you have it. The story of how a 1978 D Roosevelt dime could turn into $1.7 million. Now, it's your turn. Go check your coin jars, old dressers, even that piggy bank you've forgotten about. You never know what treasures are hiding in plain sight. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends, especially if they love history, coins, or making money from hidden treasures. Have you ever found an unusual coin? I'd love to hear your story. Imagine finding a small dime in your pocket change and discovering it's worth $1.5 million. Yes, you heard that right. Today we're talking about the legendary 1976 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark, one of the rarest and most valuable coins in U.S. history. If you've got old coins lying around, you'll want to watch this video until the very end, because the next coin you hold in your hand could change your life. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. It quickly became one of the most commonly used coins in America. But in 1976, something unusual happened. While the country was celebrating the bicentennial with special quarters, half dollars, and dollars, the dime quietly continued with its regular design. The majority of 1976 dimes were struck with either a D mint mark for Denver or a S mint mark for San Francisco proof coins, but a tiny number slipped out of the Philadelphia mint. Without any mint mark at all, this wasn't supposed to happen. The missing mint mark was a minting error, and it created one of the most valuable dimes in U.S. history. So how rare is the 1976 no mint mark Roosevelt dime? Experts estimate that only a handful exist. In fact, one of these rare coins sold for an astonishing $1.5 million at auction. Why so much money? Because coin collectors, known as numismatists, value three things above all else. Rarity. Very few of these dimes exist. Condition. If it's in mint or uncirculated condition, the value skyrockets. Demand. Collectors are always willing to pay top dollar for rare errors like this. Think of it like a baseball card or a rare stamp. The fewer there are, the higher the demand, and the higher the price. Now here's the part you've been waiting for. How do you know if you have one of these rare dimes? Look at the front of the coin. That's the side with Roosevelt's portrait. Check just above the date, 1976. That's where the mint mark is usually located. It's Denver. If you see an S, it's San Francisco. But if there's no mint mark at all, that's when you might have struck gold, or in this case, silver-colored treasure. Now, don't get too excited yet. Not every dime without. A clear mint mark is worth millions. Some coins just have worn-out marks from circulation. The true 1.5 million 1976 dime has been professionally graded and authenticated by experts. If you think you found a rare 1976 no mint mark Roosevelt dime, here's what you should do. Don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can actually lower its value. Get it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Once it's certified, consider taking it to a major auction house like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. That's how you'll get the highest price possible. Remember, collectors will pay big money, but only for certified genuine coins. The story of the 1976 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark, a tiny coin that could be worth a fortune. If you've got jars of change at home or coins passed down from your parents or grandparents, take a closer look. That little dime could be hiding in plain sight. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe for more rare coin stories, and share this with a friend who loves collecting. Who knows? The next millionaire coin could be sitting in your pocket right now. Have you ever checked the change in your pocket and wondered if one of those small coins could be worth a fortune? Well, today, we're talking about the 1974 Roosevelt dime from the Denver Mint, a coin that has sparked excitement because of claims it could be worth as much as $1.7 million. Is that true? And what should you look for in your old coins to know if you're sitting on a hidden treasure? Stick with me for the next 10 minutes as we break this down step by step. Introduce Roosevelt dime. First issued in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Composition. By 1974, the dime was no longer silver, but copper-nickel clad. Denver Mint, marked with a small D mint mark on the obverse. Next to Roosevelt's neck, tens of millions were struck in 1974. So normally they are worth only face value. Explain. Most 1974 D dimes are common. But some rumors and reports claim rare errors or unique varieties exist that make them extremely valuable. One of the famous stories is of a 1974 D Roosevelt dime graded in pristine condition, or with a major minting error being valued around $1.7 million. These extreme values come from collectors who pay top dollar for one-of-a-kind error coins. Examples of errors that can boost value: off-center strikes, double dies, letters or numbers. Look doubled. Wrong planche errors, struck on a penny or foreign coin blank. No mint mark varieties, clarify. A regular 1974 D dime in your pocket is usually worth 10 cents. Even in mint state condition, MS-65 or higher, most sell between $2 and $15. The $1 million price tag comes from extremely rare, unique error coins, the kind you don't find every day. But collectors are always on the lookout, which is why people check their coins. On the obverse, near Roosevelt's neck, uncirculated, shiny coins are worth more. Look for misprints, missing letters, off-center strikes. Use a magnifying glass. Compare with online coin guides. Get it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. Don't assume every old coin is worth a fortune. Grading and authentication are crucial. If you do have a rare variety, it lowers value. Get it certified before selling. Sell through major auction houses or trusted coin dealers. Avoid quick cash buyers who offer less than market value. Show footage of dimes being stacked. Zoom in on Roosevelt's profile. So, is the 1974 D Roosevelt dime really worth $1.7 million? For most people, no. But if you happen to own a rare error or a flawless specimen, you could be sitting on a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. The lesson here is simple. Always check your coins. That little piece of change in your pocket could hold a big surprise. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with fellow collectors. And if you found any unusual dimes in your collection, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your story. Have you ever wondered if that jar of old coins sitting in your kitchen drawer could be hiding a fortune? Well, today we're talking about one of the most incredible U.S. coins ever reported, the 1970 D Roosevelt dime. Some collectors say a rare example of this coin could be worth up to $1.5 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single dime worth more than most houses. Stay tuned, because I'm going to break down exactly what makes this coin special, how to identify it, and what you should do if you think you might have one. The Roosevelt dime was first issued in 1946, right after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had led America through the Great Depression and World War II. By 1970, the U.S. Mint in Denver was mass-producing billions of dimes, most made of copper and nickel, since silver had been phased out a few years earlier. But here's where it gets fascinating. Out of the countless coins minted in Denver that year, a tiny handful, possibly only one surviving specimen, have errors or varieties so dramatic that collectors prize them as treasures. That's where the famous story of the 1970 Roosevelt dime worth $1.5 million comes from. So what makes a coin worth more than its weight in gold? It's not just age. Millions of 1970 dimes are still floating around, and most are worth only 10 cents. The value comes from three things. Located just above the date, the D shows it, was struck in Denver. Collectors believe one special 1970 dime was struck on the wrong planche or had unique features that set it apart. With possibly only one known surviving specimen, scarcity skyrockets its value. And when collectors compete for something unique, the price can soar into the millions. Now let's talk money. Reports in the coin collecting community suggest that a unique 1970 Roosevelt dime has been valued at around $1.5 million. Now, not every dime from 1970 is worth this kind of money. In fact, the overwhelming majority aren't. But here's the lesson. Rare coins, especially error coins, can fetch extraordinary prices. A small minting mistake, a doubled die, or the wrong metal planche can transform pocket change into a life-changing discovery. So how do you know if your dime could be valuable? Here are a few steps. Look closely at the date and mint mark. The D should be above the year 1970. Examine with a magnifying glass. Look for doubling, misstrikes, or anything unusual. Check the metal. Rare dimes may have been struck on silver planches or other foreign coins by mistake. Don't clean your coins. Cleaning can ruin value. Collectors want original condition. Get a professional appraisal. Reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and grade your coin. Even if you don't have the $1 million dime, other coins like 1969S doubled die cents or 1943 copper pennies are also worth thousands or more. So the next time you're rolling up your spare change or going through an old coin jar, take a closer look. That dime in your hand could be worth more than a luxury car or even more than a house. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more tips on rare coins, and share this with a friend who might have old change lying around. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the next person to cash in on a $1 million dime. Imagine finding a small 10-cent coin in your pocket that could change your life forever, a coin you might overlook, but today is worth over $1.4 million. Yes, I'm talking about the mysterious 1969 Roosevelt dime. In this video, I'll explain why this dime is so valuable, how to identify it, and what you should do if you think you have one sitting in an old jar or coin collection at home. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel where we uncover the hidden treasures hiding in your pocket change. If you're between 30 and 70 years old, this is the perfect place for you, because chances are you or your parents may still have coins from the 1960s tucked away in drawers, jars, or albums. And one of those coins could be worth more than a house. The Roosevelt dime was first issued in 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt. By 1969, these dimes were common pocket change, minted in the millions at the Denver Mint, identified with the small D mint mark just above the date on the coin. Normally, these coins are worth face value, just 10 cents. But a rare minting error turned a handful of them into treasures worth a fortune. It comes down to a rare minting mistake. A small number of dimes were struck with an extraordinary error involving their design and striking process. The details are sharp, the minting unusual, and collectors go crazy for such errors. Combine that with the fact that only a tiny handful are known to exist, and you have the perfect recipe for skyrocketing value. Out of hundreds of millions of dimes minted in 1969, maybe only a few survive in this rare form today. That's what makes collectors willing to pay millions. Look closely at your dimes from the 1960s. Does it say 1969? You need the D mark just above the date, which stands for the Denver Mint. These valuable dimes are usually found in near-mint condition with unusual strike features. Of course, because the value is so high, there are counterfeits out there. If you suspect you have one, never try to clean it and don't sell it at a pawn shop. The safest move is to get it authenticated by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC. At auction, a genuine 1969D Roosevelt dime with this rare error has been valued at around $1.4 million. To put that in perspective, a single dime that once bought you a candy bar in 1969 can now buy you a mansion, luxury cars, or even fund your retirement. Coin collectors, known as numismatists, are always searching for these rarities. And when only a handful exist, the price skyrockets because wealthy collectors are willing to outbid each other. So, what should you do if you think you have one of these million-dollar dimes? Don't spend it or clean it. Cleaning can ruin its value. Handle it carefully. Use soft gloves if possible. Get it professionally graded by PCGS or NGC. Consider auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, where collectors bid the highest. So check your old coin jars, your grandparents' collections, or even that box in the attic. Because one small dime from 1969 with a tiny D under the date could turn out to be worth over $1.4 million. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn about other coins worth thousands, even millions, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this with someone who might have old coins sitting around. Your next fortune could be hiding in plain sight. Imagine finding a coin in your old change jar that could make you a millionaire. Yes, you heard that right. A single Roosevelt dime, minted in 1968 at the Denver Mint, has shocked the coin world with a market value of around $1.4 million. Today, I'll break down why this coin is so rare, what makes it valuable, and how you can check if your old coins could also be worth a fortune. Let's start with a little background. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had passed away the year before. For decades, this coin has been in circulation, made mostly from copper and nickel. After the U.S. stopped producing silver dimes in 1965, in 1968, the U.S. Mint made an important change. The Denver Mint, which stamped coins with a little d, mint mark, was producing millions of Roosevelt dimes. However, a few rare mistakes slipped through the cracks. Errors that collectors today will pay unbelievable amounts of money to own. First, the proof coins. These are specially struck coins for collectors, with sharper details and a mirror-like finish. In 1968, proof coins were only supposed to be made at the San Francisco Mint, marked with an S. But somehow, a tiny handful of proof-quality dimes slipped out of Denver with the D mint mark. This was a major minting mistake. Collectors call this the 1968 no-S proof dime error and its D counterpart one of the holy grails of modern coin collecting. Only a handful of these exist, and their rarity drives the price sky high. We're talking auction records over $1.4 million. All right, now you're probably wondering, how do I know if I have one? Here's what to look for. Date and mint mark. Check the front of your dime. Look under the date for the mint mark. If it has a D and the coin looks unusually sharp or proof-like, pay attention. Proof quality. Proof coins have a mirror-like surface. Regular circulation coins look dull or worn, but proofs shine. If your dime has that glassy finish, you may have something big. Grading services like PCGS or NGC officially certify coins. A 1968D Roosevelt dime in top grade can fetch life-changing money. Millions of 1968 dimes exist, but only a few of these rare error coins are worth millions. If yours looks different, it's worth getting it professionally checked. A regular 1968D dime is worth about 10 cents to a couple of dollars if in great condition. But the rare proof error dimes, they've sold for 6 and even 7 figures at major auctions. The most famous sale hit around $1.4 million. Collectors worldwide are hunting for this coin, so if you have a 1968 dime, it's definitely worth checking. If you believe you have a valuable 1968D dime, here's what you should do. Do not clean the coin. Cleaning reduces value dramatically. Get it certified. Submit it to a professional grading service like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic. Guarantee Company, auction houses. Rare coins fetch the best prices at big auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. They'll market your coin to the right collectors. This way, you don't just sell it, you maximize your return. So, to recap, the 1968 Roosevelt dime is one of the rarest modern U.S. coins with a jaw-dropping value of around $1.4 million. While most 1968 dimes aren't worth much, that rare proof error could be life-changing. If you're between 30 and 70 and have boxes of old coins tucked away, it's time to take a closer look. You might just be sitting on a hidden treasure. Wouldn't. It'd be amazing if your spare change turned into a retirement plan. Keep hunting, and who knows, you might strike gold or silver with a dime.